Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining today's webinar, SEO Today, Now What Does Google Want? Presented by Jennifer Ellis. My name is Stephanie Phelan, and I'm a marketing manager here at MyCase, and I will be your host today. I'd like to give you a few tips about participating on GoToWebinar today. The webinar control panel is on the right-hand side of your screen. This is where you may submit questions and where you'll see the polls come up throughout the presentation. We save all of your questions until the end of the presentation. That's when Jennifer will answer what we've collected throughout the webinar. Also, please note that we are recording this webinar and it will be available by the end of the day tomorrow on the MyCase blog, and it will also be emailed to all of our registrants. Today's webinar is hosted by MyCase, so before we jump into things, I'd like to give you a quick overview. MyCase, web-based law practice management software, takes care of your daily practice requirements for calendaring, contact management, document management and templates, time and billing, client communications, custom workflows, and more, all in one solution at an affordable price. MyCase is priced for solo and small firms at just $39 a month per attorney and $29 a month per paralegal or staff. In our next slide, we also offer websites for our customers, modern professional design built for your firm, social media and blog integration, and best of all, complete integration with your MyCase practice management software. Now you and your customers can log into MyCase directly from your website. Last but not least, we enjoy hosting educational events for professionals in the legal industry, and that is why we're here today. So now let me tell you a little bit about our presenter. Jennifer Ellis is an attorney, educator, and online marketing consultant. Most of her focus is with online marketing, but when Jennifer practices with her firm, Lowenthal and Abrams, involves legal malpractice and ethics. She is also the author of the recently published book, WordPress in 1 Hour for Lawyers. When Jennifer is not working with attorneys to improve the efficiency and viability of their practices, she can be found playing with her adorable Labrador Retriever, Curtis. Curtis is quite popular on Facebook. He may just have taken some pointers for Jennifer, so let's see. Thank you for being here today, Jennifer. I'm going to hand the mic over to you now.
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, Curtis follows me all over the web. It's pretty funny. I think he's more famous than I will ever be. I'd like to thank you so much for hosting me today. I'd like to thank almost 200 of you who are here today. This is my first time doing a presentation purely on SEO because normally I do CLE, and you can't, of course, get CLE for pure marketing seminars. So I've put together a pretty detailed presentation. Hopefully we'll get through it all. If not, you can get the slides on my website, and I've given you two different links. Just go to my blog, though, jlellis.net, and you'll be able to find them there. So today's webinar, what I'm going to be talking about is what is SEO. My main focus will be exactly what is it that Google is looking for, because of course when we talk about SEO we're mainly talking about Google. I will also spend some time on social media and its impact on search engine optimization. I'll talk about advertising a bit, and I will also talk about hiring an SEO firm. So let's talk about the first poll. Do you SEO?
Okay, great. I just launched that poll there, and you can see the options of yes, no, kind of, or what's SEO. So go ahead and put in your answers there.
I have an audience in my office. Do you SEO? No, she's shaking her head no. So should I move on while we're waiting for the poll answers, or should I wait?
Okay. Wait 1 moment. 1 moment. We're going to close the poll and share the results. Okay. Great. Okay. So we see our results here. 29% say yes, I do SEO. 28% say no. 37% say kind of. And 6% say what's SEO.
Well, that's not too bad. 6%. So moving on from there. Let's get into it. So what is SEO? What do I mean when I talk about SEO? Well, SEO means search engine optimization, and fundamentally what it means is how easily can people find you on the web. Now, most of the time when we're talking about SEO, we're talking about where do you show up on Google for the key phrases that people might use when they're looking for an attorney in your area of practice. You want to provide as many ways as possible for people to find you, and you want to go wherever your potential clients are. So it's not just going to be Google, it's going to be Facebook, LinkedIn, and other sites. And also you might want to use pay-per-click or other forms of advertising such as through Google, Facebook, or other relevant sites. So basically that's what we mean when we say SEO. The thing about SEO is Google really changed it about 2 years ago with the introduction of new algorithms. It used to be actually quite easy to get to the front page of Google no matter where you were. It just took someone who could write the content in the right way to trick Google into putting your website first. They would often do something called keyword stuffing, which is a repeated use of the same keywords in the content. Frequently, if you would read a website, it would be very difficult to make sense of what it was trying to say. Often the links to the website, which were a huge part of how you showed up on Google, they were often unrelated directories, links from very poor quality sites, and also they were often purchased, which already violated Google's terms of service. So Google changed its algorithm, and it wants high quality relevant results. So when people are searching for something, Google is looking to match the phrase or the word that the person is searching for. It looks also for location. So are you local to the person who's searching? It penalizes people for bad links, sites for bad links. It punishes sites that engaged or are currently engaging in what are called black hat techniques, and it penalizes keyword stuffing. So given the changes in the algorithm, there simply is nothing more important than high quality content that includes the relevant phrases when you're talking about search engine optimization. Some terms you might hear from people when they're talking about SEO would be penguin, that was a change in Google's algorithm impacting links; panda, that was a change in the algorithm impacting content; and hummingbird, which is the newest change, and that involves the fact that Google recognizes that most people search by phrases as opposed to by simple keywords. This is not about a program about web design, but I do have to mention that your site needs to be properly designed for Google. You have to make sure it's properly coded, that it's organized well, that you submit site maps and webmaster tools, which I'll explain in a moment. Your site needs to be easy to read, easy to navigate. It has to be searchable not only by Google, but by the users when they're on the site. It must be fast loading. People will leave your site very, very quickly if it does not load within a few seconds. You need to be sure to use calls to action, and by that I mean encourage people to call you, email you, fill out a contact box. That's what we mean by a call to action. Personally, for most of my web design, I use WordPress. I like using it because it's relatively easy to create a website, and it's very useful for search engine optimization because there are a lot of very useful plugins. Now, you might wonder why Google matters, and I came across this data, and I've given you the sites for it. Currently, there's almost 12 billion searches per month on Google, and those searches are done by almost 1.2 billion unique users. That's almost 70% of the U.S. market, and I'm not going to dwell on it, but you can take a look at this chart on this slide and see how much the searching has increased since 2007. Google's really been around since about 2006, 2005 in terms of it as the dominant high-quality search engine that we know it is today. So where do you rank? That's the question. How high up do you show for relevant phrases on Google, which is the big one, Yelp and Bing, which are also popular but not as important as Google? Your focus is generally going to be on Google. Yelp and Bing will normally sort of follow along if you're doing well on Google. A term you might hear people say is SERP, which means a search engine results page. So when an SEO person tells you we're wondering about your SERP, they're simply saying where do you rank for these phrases or keywords that will bring potential clients to your website. Your results will vary. So, for example, if someone says to you, hey, I see you on the top of Google for this search, and you look at the same search and you see different results, it's not that the person's lying. It's that in different cities, in different locations, even in different offices, if Google thinks you're in different cities, you could get different results. The rank is also going to be impacted by the order of words the person uses, whether it's local search, in other words, the use of the city name, or again, in a specific location, whether someone uses quotation marks. Really, any way the person searches can alter the results that you're going to get. So here's a search result, typical search result, which I'm sure you've seen. The search I used is, how do I get custody of my child? Now, I'm in Pennsylvania, and this slide got a little messed up, I'm sorry. But you can see on the top, you have ads. You have normally 2 to 3 ads on the top, and then you'll have a number of ads on the side. Those are, people are paying for those. And then underneath that, you'll see the results. You'll see I also have some different stuff on my site for link analysis, but that's not relevant to you. That's a tool I use. Now, if I change the site, you'll see the first search is how to file for custody, 8 steps, father's custody rights. Now, if I go to the next slide, see I changed it, how do I get custody of my child in Philadelphia? You see the results have changed. First of all, not as many ads. And second of all, the results are quite different. Now we have a Philadelphia.gov site, a courts.phila site. So as you see, just a slight change in the search has completely changed the results. Now, how do you identify keywords and phrases? This is very important. And the way I suggest people do this initially is think when somebody comes to your office for the first time or is calling for a consultation, think about what phrases the people use when they're asking you questions. Those phrases are very likely the keywords they're using when they're searching the web. So that's what I recommend you think about initially. You can also research what people are searching with a free tool that is available in Google AdWords, which is at ads.google.com. And this is how it works. You go to what's called the keyword planner, and you can choose to search for new keywords and group ideas. You can search for volume, how popular are specific keywords. You can get traffic estimates, and you can add different keywords and get ideas. So this is how it works. What you do is, in this case, I tried Philadelphia divorce lawyer. You are going to send it to a specific landing page, which means you want to send it to the page related to the area of practice. You should always send people to the specifically related pages when you're doing something in AdWords or you're doing something somewhere else, because people are going to be expecting to see a page devoted directly to whatever it is that you're talking about, in this case, divorce law. So let's say your website is your general practice law firm and you're advertising or doing posts on divorce law. You're not going to send them to your main website.com. You're going to send them to website.com/divorce law. You want to make sure you do that. You choose the legal product category, and you can filter it. For example, you can have negative keywords, which would prevent your results showing up when people use certain keywords. That's especially useful when you're trying to save money in ads. And then we see some results. These results tell us some suggested keywords. It also shows us the level of competition, and that's something to think about when you're doing search engine optimization. Sometimes it behooves you to focus not on the most popular keywords, but on less popular keywords that could be very successful for you, because you have a better chance of getting to the front of Google if you're doing a search, say, for grandparents' rights in Philadelphia than for Philadelphia divorce lawyer, simply because Philadelphia divorce lawyer is a much more common search, so more law firms are going to try to reach the top of Google. So just think about the competition and try to go around it by using less common phrases. Google does offer a lot of help. You can look at a number of the links that I've provided here. Again, you can get these slides. Matt Cutts, you'll hear his name sometimes. He's in charge of web spam at Google, and he does frequently release videos and blog posts that offer recommendations or kind of let you know where Google is going. And every time, anybody who works in SEO should know about Matt and should be very aware of whatever it is he is saying every month or every few weeks, because the information he provides can help you glean, if not exactly what Google is doing, you can get an idea of what's going on. Now, backlinks are a big issue. I will say that one thing that Mr. Cutts has said is that over the next couple years, Google is going to minimize the value of backlinks as it focuses more and more on content. However, right now, backlinks are very important. And all a backlink means is it's a link from another website. The quality of the backlink is much more important than quantity. If you have a lot of really bad, irrelevant backlinks, you will not do well on your search engine results. Also, if you have any black hat stuff going on, for example, you hired a couple SEO firms over the years and they purchased links and you've got 30, 40,000 bad links, which sounds like a lot, but certainly not impossible. I've seen it. You could end up with what's called a manual penalty, which is Google actually either removing your site from Google or pushing it down several pages as a way of punishing you for engaging in what's called a black hat technique. In the old days, people used to trade links with one another, and they still do it. People will do guest blog posts, which is unfortunately starting to be an issue. Google seems to be trying to shut the door on many ways of obtaining links other than through providing good quality that people just simply want to link to in an organic way. Another way we used to get links were from articles and sites such as eZine and Patch. You would write an article and then you would link it to your website. Apparently Google is starting to smack these down as well. So it has become very, very difficult to get high quality links. How do you get backlinks? Well, the first thing is you write high quality, unique content. If it's unique, people will link to it if it's not something that they can find anywhere else. So you want to approach things from a different perspective. Sharing content throughout the web, you want to make sure you're sharing your content everywhere you can through social media, through advertising, through encouraging other people to share it. That can get attention and can drive more traffic to your site, which in turn can encourage more people to link to you. This is an infographic. An infographic is simply a graphical rendition of a concept. The one I'm showing you is actually from MyCase, and it is their concept of where lawyer websites get in trouble. And people often share infographics. MyCase actually emailed this one to me. It emailed it to everyone. It just happened to be coincidentally done about a week or two before the seminar. And this is something that people will share and link back to your site for, so it's a great way to get links. You can also look where your competition isn't, where their links are coming from, and see if you can get links in the same place. And I'll discuss how to do that. If you can write for newspapers online and exchange, they'll give you a link. That's great. Directories are still okay as long as they are high quality directories and they are relevant to your area. You can also ask people for links, but again, the problem with that can be if you're trading links and you have too many links, so you have a link on A site and A site links back to you. You have a link on B site and B links back to you. That can become problematic again because Google doesn't like that anymore. So I get a lot of requests for links, and that's what a lot of people recommend, but I'm cautious to do it too much because I do think Google will not be too happy with me if I do. How do you check the links? How do you look at other people's links and make sure your links are okay? There's one site called Ahrefs, and I'm probably not saying that properly. You can buy, you can do some of the stuff for free, but generally these services cost money, and they're not inexpensive, anywhere from $80 to $100 and some odd a month. But they will give you information about your links, where they're coming from. Moz.com is also very useful for a number of things, not just links. And what you can do is you can see both your links and the links of your competition and maybe glean some information from there. Link Detox is very good. It gives you some advice on whether your links are good or bad. I've used it myself when trying to audit and clean up other sites that have had problems with their links. Link Detox is actually quite expensive, but if you really want to do an audit of your links, it's extraordinarily useful. There's what are called follow links and no follow links. A follow link is a link that has what we call link juice. It impacts your rank with Google directly. So if you have a link from CNN and it's a follow link, that's an especially valuable link because Google is going to recognize that link as high quality. On the other hand, a no follow link does not directly impact your rank. in that it doesn't give you any link juice. But what it does do is it can increase the traffic to your site. And the more traffic you have to your site, the more Google rewards you. So you shouldn't dismiss no-follow links out of hand, but you have to appreciate that they have a different impact on they impact your SEO in different ways. So just keep that in mind when you're looking for links. How do you deal with bad links? Well, what you're supposed to do, the first step, is to ask the site to remove the bad links. Some sites will, some sites won't. In fact, some sites, which were engaging in black hat, meaning they were selling links to people, are more than happy to require you to pay to get the link removed. So black hat one way, black hat the other way, I guess. You can disavow the links with Google. There's a disavow tool. I have written a blog post, I probably wrote it about a year ago, on how to use the disavow tool. The problem is it's not entirely clear how well it works. I have seen a number of sites recover from a manual penalty based on bad links, so clearly Google is using it. Generally what you do is you identify the bad links, you put them into a text document or an Excel document, and then you upload them using this disavow link that I'm providing to you here under Webmaster Tools, and then it tells Google, we don't want these links, we don't want you to use them as part of how we determine where we should rank. And utilizing this service, many sites that have had a manual penalty from Google have been able to recover. So I certainly think it's something to use if you have a lot of bad links. I will say to you, a couple bad links is not the end of the world. You don't need to focus them on them too much. We're talking a lot of bad links being a problem. So you don't need to focus too much on it unless, again, you have hundreds, thousands of really bad links, then you're going to have an issue. So let's move on to content. And before we do, I'd like to know, where do you get ideas for content? And I'll hand it over to our host to take care of the poll.
Yes, where do you get ideas for content? So you can select one of the following: clients, reading, day-to-day life, or what content. So go ahead and put in your submissions now. And we'll give you just a couple more seconds. And we'll go ahead and close our polls. Okay, and you can see our results here for where we get our ideas for content. We have clients for 16%, reading at 48%. We have a lot of readers out there. Day-to-day life, 25%, or what content? What do you think about that, Jennifer?
Well, I think that's interesting, and it's kind of what I would have expected. I get many of my ideas for content from the first three. I hear what content a lot from my law firm clients. Content is crucial, and that's one of the first things I said to you. So what I recommend to firms is find a way to write content, and it's better if you can write your own content because it's in your own voice. So no doubt the question is, what is well written? Well, you want your content to be on point to whatever your concept is that you're trying to get across. So let's say when you're speaking with clients, they ask you, well, what are the steps involved in getting a divorce? You could write a blog post, the top 10 things that you have to do after you get a divorce or while you're getting a divorce. So that's on point, and it's a very searchable and interesting title. So the title is important. You want it to grab attention, and you want it to let people know what it's about. You want to use the appropriate keywords and phrases because, again, that's how Google judges the appropriateness of what you've written in relation to what people are searching. You want to keep it reasonably brief. 300 to 600 words is about right. You want to use external links, 1 to 3, and by external link I mean that you are linking to websites other than your own. Now obviously you don't want to link to your competition. So you might link to government websites. I'll frequently link to statutes, news articles that are relevant to whatever it is I'm talking about. There are many options for things to link to other than your competition. You want to make sure those links are useful to the client, and you also want to make sure that in your coding you have it open in a new window so you are not having people leave your website when they're clicking on an external link. You want to have appropriate internal links. By that I mean linking to other content on your site. So therefore, if you are writing the post on the top 10 things you need to know about divorce law, you should link to your page on divorce. You want to use a call to action in each one as well, saying contact us, call us, whatever. You want the writing to be engaging and interesting so people will actually read it. Some common terms you'll hear are short tail and long tail. Your short tail would be things like Philadelphia divorce lawyer. Your long tail would be something like a phrase, how do I find a good Philadelphia divorce lawyer? So those are the different terms you'll frequently hear SEOs use. Some writing tips. You want to write clearly and simply. You want to make sure you proofread. Again, bad grammar, bad spelling is a huge turnoff. You want to edit and edit and edit. You can go back later on and re-edit it after you've posted it to sharpen it up. You want to use pictures. Pictures help people focus on the content. Something with no picture on it often just looks like too much text. You need to identify your target market. Most of the time you're looking for an 8th grade level or younger. Now if you have business clients or high-end clients that you feel are more educated, then it's perfectly okay to go higher up, but you need to think about your target market. You want to mix up whatever phrases and keywords you're using. So a divorce lawyer in Philadelphia and Philadelphia divorce lawyer. Remember what I said about changing a few words being a different result. So that's why you want to go throughout your content and your writing and adjust it. Also, keep each page or post to one concept. Divorce is one thing, custody is a different thing, child care is a different thing. Each page or post should be about one thing. Never mix them up because you're just going to confuse the search engine and you might not get people coming to the right page. Use your keyword or phrase in the title. You can see here I've put in Jennifer Ellis, JD, attorney, educator, consultant with the keyword Jennifer Ellis. Short biography for law practice management consultant, social media websites, SEO, and ethics attorney Jennifer Ellis, because the keyword is my name. You want to make sure you use the keyword in the link and the meta description. Now the meta description doesn't help your rank, but what it does help is it's what people see before they click on the link, and they want to see that it's relevant. You want to use what are called H1 tags. That's the first content you see on the page, and it's going to be very large and bold, and Google rewards it when you make sure that you use the keywords in your first line and have it a large size. You also want to make sure you use them in the first paragraph. In addition, make sure you're using proper design in HTML. You're going to use what are called HT, H2, and H3 headings, which are bold but slightly smaller than the H1 to break up the content. You're going to use lists with numbers or bullets. Again, it breaks up the content, it makes it easier to read. Use what are called alt tags for the pictures. If you hover your mouse over a picture, it should tell you the alternative text, and the alternative text should be whatever the keyword or key phrase is, because Google uses that, and again, you're going to be using these keywords and phrases a number of times on any given post. Do not write like a lawyer. This is a big problem. Writing for the web is very, very different from writing a legal brief or explaining a legal concept to another lawyer. Don't get lost in the details. Don't be too complex. And don't provide too many sites. A lot of the times people will want to provide the exact citation to the exact code. You know, unless you're writing for lawyers, that's not necessary. You don't want to do that. You want to keep it clear and succinct and easy to read. You also don't want to repeat the keyword or phrase too many times. It's a balance, and you want to balance the number of times you repeat it against the length of the content. And remember, as I said, you want to adjust the keyword and phrase so it looks different, it comes out differently, and so as a result, if people are doing slightly different searches, they're still going to find your page. How do you judge the content? How do you judge yourself? Well, there fortunately are objective tools you can use to do so. Again, I told you I use WordPress for most of my websites. My favorite SEO tool is called Yoast. There's both a free version and a pay version, and they're very similar. The free version does a little bit less, but it gives me detailed information about how my post is. A Scribe is another service that gives keyword analysis. I've already mentioned Moz, and there are a number of other sites that will provide grades and recommendations. So here's my page, Jennifer Ellis JD. I tell it this is the word or phrase I want it to focus on. Sometimes it messes up a little. This page does have my name as the article heading. I don't know why it says it doesn't. Then you can see my SEO title, as I showed you before, has my keywords of my name in there, and does my meta description. I can click on page analysis, and that page analysis is going to tell me what I'm doing right and what I'm doing wrong. And it uses red, orange, yellow, and green. The flesh reading ease test, I often find it's difficult to really make it easy enough since we're dealing with legal terms quite frequently, but as you can see, it wants short sentences and easy words as much as possible. Whether I've used the focus keyword before, in this case I've used it once before, you really do want to use the phrase or word only one time, because otherwise Google can get confused and send someone to the wrong page. It's a relatively short page because it's my bio, so it's slightly below the 300-word minimum that they recommend. But otherwise, as you can see, it's happy with the fact that I've used the phrase in the URL, and I've used 3 outbound links and so on and so forth. So it gives me a nice analysis of exactly what I've done right, exactly what I've done wrong. Moz, which is a site I use for many tools, does give you a grade for a page. So you give the link to the page and you tell it what the keyword is, and then it will give you a grade. I'm only showing you a little bit of this page. The page is actually very long, and it gives you a check mark for the things you're doing right, and it tells you how important they are. As you can see, it's telling me, did I use the keyword in the page title? And that's critical, and yes, I did. So Moz, I think Moz is around $100 a month, maybe a little bit less, but it's very useful for grading your pages and, as I showed you earlier, for analyzing links. So now that we know a little bit about content, let's talk about how often we need to write it. I'll hand it over to the host.
Okay, thank you. So this is the truth poll. How often do you write content? So select one of the following: once a day, once a week, once a month, once in a blue moon, or never. So please go ahead and submit your responses there and give it just a few more seconds. Okay, I'll go ahead and close the poll so we can see the results. Okay, so once a day is quite low. We see 3% for that. Once a week at 22%. Once a month, 29%. The majority tends to once in a blue moon, or 14% never.
Okay. Well, those numbers don't surprise me. Again, the reality is it's very difficult when your job is to practice law. It's not to write content for your website. But your job is also to market yourself, or you won't have clients to pay for your job. So the reality is that Google very much values fresh content, and so the more you write content, the better your site will do. If you were to hire an SEO firm and you're able to afford it, it's best if they're writing 3-4 times a week. I recommend to people that they at least try to write several times a week. And remember, we're not talking very lengthy things. We're talking 300 words. At a minimum, I say to people, please write at least once a week. Now, how do I deal with this for law firms? Let's say you have a law firm with 5 lawyers. What I say is, all right, each lawyer write once a month. And that makes it a little bit easier for everybody. If you're a solo, obviously that's a little more difficult for you. Another thing you can do is you can update your old content. As I mentioned earlier, you shouldn't be afraid to edit things you've written before. I've written probably about 300 blog posts on my personal website, and sometimes people ask questions on old posts, and I'll go back and look at them and realize, wow, they're really out of date. Now, of course, I'm focusing on writing for other people. The irony of for many SEO people is they don't have time to write their own content because they're writing for other people. But every so often, I will see that I have a post that's out of date, so I'll update it or fix it. The law might change, or I simply will, when I'm having a day where I don't have any original ideas, go through old content and just edit it to make it tighter and easier to read. You can always edit. You should also look at how your various keywords and phrases are performing, and I'm going to discuss how to do that. And you should adjust accordingly. And you shouldn't be afraid to test. You could write the article with one keyword or a series of phrases one day, and then save it and try a different article another day. You might unpublish the article that had a certain key phrase, and then you can republish things or just completely edit them. I say unpublish and publish a different one simply because it saves it as it was originally. And all this stuff is very easy to do, again, if you're using WordPress or something that has a content management system that allows you to edit things easily. So how do you research your success? Well, I want to talk with you a little bit about the analytics that you can access. You have Google Webmaster Tools and you have Google Analytics, and these are both free, but you have to claim them and get them working with your site. So Webmaster Tools. Webmaster Tools provides details about crawl errors. It provides warning notices from Google if you've been unfortunate enough to get a manual penalty. It provides you information about that. You also can add your sitemap. A sitemap tells Google how to crawl your site. So it's very helpful to Google. If you tell it how to do that, it gets your site crawled better and faster. How do you claim it? You go to the site and you follow the directions, and that's how you claim it. Analytics are extremely useful. You absolutely need to use them. They provide detailed information about how your site is performing. This includes the bounce rate, which is how long people stay on your site. Now, at this point, Google has claimed that it doesn't use bounce rate in its algorithm. I don't know whether that's true or not, but I would say that if you have a bad bounce rate, it is indicative of a problem, with some exceptions. A lot of blog sites where most of the content is just blogs will have high bounce rates, and that's not generally a problem because people will often go just to read that page. But if you are a law firm website and you have a high bounce rate, 80, 90%, you're in real trouble, and you need to try to figure out how to resolve that. A bounce rate of 50% is good, 40% is very good. As you get into the 60s and 70s, again, that's the sign of a problem. You don't need to focus on it too much, but you do need to look at it. Mobile sites tend to have a higher bounce rate because people are often just looking for the phone number or how to contact you. You look at your bounce rate as you look at everything else. You want to look at it in a holistic way to see how you're doing. If you have a high bounce rate but you're getting a lot of leads, then maybe it's not too much the sign of a problem. You can look at the sources of traffic, so you can see how many people are coming to you organically. That means through Google just by a search. How many people are coming to you from social media, so Facebook and LinkedIn and whatever else. Your paid results, if you're using Google AdWords, as what are called referral links, which would be your direct links. You can also see results from specific searches. Google always used to show all the keywords that people typed in, so they get to your website or to specific pages. Unfortunately, Google is hiding most searches now. If someone is logged into their Google Plus account, Google hides whatever keywords it used to get to your site, and my understanding is Google will be hiding more and more of this over time. Now, Google does have a paid, very, very expensive Analytics. By expensive, I mean about $100,000 a year. I did ask Google whether you get to see more keyword searches if you buy the $100,000. Not that I'm going to buy it, I was just curious. And the answer was no, but that doesn't mean that that won't change in the future. So you could end up with a competitive advantage, I suppose, if you are actually able to afford the 100,000. But I frankly don't know too many law firms who would be able to do that. So that is a tool that we are losing a little bit, and it's troublesome, but we still can get some information. Regardless, you can see how people travel around your site. You can learn so much information from analytics. Now, it can be complex. Basic stuff you can figure out pretty easily, but there are some tools I do recommend. Google offers training. Some is free, some is paid, depending on whether it's through Google directly, and you can go ahead and sign up for that and learn a little bit more. To me, the Bible of Google Analytics, which I keep on my desk, is Advanced Web Metrics with Google Analytics by Mr. Brian Clifton. Another very good book, and the first book I bought is called Web Analytics, an Hour a Day, and that's actually where I would recommend you start because, as the name suggests, it breaks it up into little portions. You do, however, want to make sure that your resource is up to date because over the past few months or so, Google has made many changes to how the analytics appear, and the changes have been very good and useful. So it can be a little complicated, but you can see the bounce rate and how much traffic you're getting and things like that quite easily. So at the very least, you should be looking at that. So moving on from there, my next question is, do you use social media? To our host.
Excellent. Thank you, Jennifer. And if you could select one of the following, please. Yes, and I engage with both clients and family. Yes, but only with close friends and family. No, but I'd like to. Or the last option, no, it's a waste of time. I don't care what you ate for lunch. So please go ahead and make your selections, and we'll give it just a few more seconds here. Okay, and I'll go ahead and close the poll. Okay, and our results about do you use social media? Yes, and I engage with both clients and family. We have 39%.
That's
yes,
great.
That is great. Yes, but only with close friends and family, 36%. 13% said no, but I'd like to. And 12%, no, it's a waste of time. I really don't care what you ate at lunch.
Neither do I. So. The last one, no, it's a waste of time. I hear that a lot. And I'll be honest with you, when I first heard about Facebook and Twitter and all these sites, I felt the same way. My impression of it, and I suppose it was actually more true back then because we're talking about 3, 4, or 5 years now. That is how most people used it. And there's still a lot of people who use it that way. I have one friend who tells everybody that she's gone to the grocery store and she's having lunch, and I'm like, oh my goodness gracious, why are you telling us this? We don't care. But what I realized very quickly when some friends did ask me to join was that personally, social media is great for staying in touch with people. My sister lives in Florida, and I have a niece and nephew whom I see very rarely, and I was able to, at least virtually, spend a lot more time with them, and I enjoyed that very much. And I used to work at the Pennsylvania Bar Institute, which is a nonprofit CLE provider here in Pennsylvania, and something seems to have gone wrong. I'm going to go back into this, excuse me. So I started to say, I bet a lot of young people use social media. Maybe this is a great way to market to lawyers who might be interested in our seminars and books. And they said, go ahead. And what I found pretty quickly was that people did respond to the use of social media as a way of bringing in customers. And that made me very interested in thinking about how it could impact business marketing as well. And That wasn't quite the time when Facebook, say, became very popular for marketing, but it did become more popular over the next year. So I was able to sort of hit the ground running and see how social media worked. Now, why did I think this was a good idea? Well, look at the numbers. Facebook has 1.23 billion people on it. Instagram, which is owned by Facebook, has over 150 million people on it with 16 billion photos. And this was last month. I probably need to update it. Google Plus has at least 300 million. LinkedIn has 277 million. Foursquare, which is the ball and the check, that's 45 million. YouTube, 1 billion users with 4 billion views per day. Twitter has 243 million users, and Pinterest has 70 million. And there are 150 million blogs, that's that orange with a B, on the web, and a lot of people get their news from blogs. So that's why social media is important. As I said to you when we first started, you need to go where your potential clients are. And you can see, in addition to being on Google, they're here. So how to use social media? Well, you're going to use it to expand the reach of your content, to network with potential referral sources, and to educate clients. People frequently ask me, do you actually get clients from social media? The answer is yes. I have gotten clients from my law firm, and I have gotten clients for my side business, both, using social media. Most of them actually do not come from my law firm's business page. They come from my personal account where I talk with people in a normal way. What I say to people is think of social media as if it's a cup of coffee with a potential client. I've had people like realtors and others call me and say, hey, will you do my social media account for me? And I say, no, I will not. You should do it for yourself. And I say, stop thinking of it as if you're just going to be blasting out little tiny bits of information. Instead, talk, communicate, educate, and engage people. So it's not marketing in the traditional sense. There are aspects of it that are, but when you're talking about your day-to-day use of social media, it's really sharing of yourself and engaging with other people. You just share whatever makes you comfortable. You don't have to overshare. You also should not have a separate social media presence for private and public. It doesn't work. I've tried it. The amount of time it takes is too much. You're also often violating the terms of service on sites like Facebook, although you may do it on Twitter. It's just overwhelming, frankly. There's only so much time in the day. So let's talk a little bit about the different types of social media. Blogs, I don't know if they're accurately called social media, but that's what I put them under. Your blog is going to be the fresh content you're consistently writing on your website. When I say try to write at least once a week, I'm normally talking about blogging. What do you blog? You blog articles, you tell updates on the law, interesting information, and you want to encourage comments. You don't want to shut them off. You can moderate them so people aren't spamming your site or writing inappropriate things, but encouraging comments is that kind of communication and networking I'm talking about. And when you do encourage comments, whether it be on social media sites or on your blog, you do need to respond quickly. You also need to be timely, and I use this example of same-sex marriage because it just happened here in Pennsylvania. A client of mine, very smart, that day created a blog post on same-sex marriage, and the traffic results were huge because people were looking it up. If you wait a few days, no one's going to care. You need to write immediately, preferably that day or within a day or two, and your traffic will go way up. And remember in your blog posts, as I said earlier, use a call to action. Tell people what they're supposed to do after they've read the post. Facebook, here's the dog Curtis that I told you about. I am not comfortable sharing too much about my personal life, so I talk about my dog. And people love it when I talk about my dog. He has his own Facebook account because some years ago a judge asked me to write a blog post on how to make a Facebook account, and people started friending him, and so I started talking as Curtis, probably because I feel more comfortable using humor speaking about a dog from the perspective than I do from my own perspective. And people respond. He has a lot of followers, he has a lot of friends, some of whom are not even my friends on Facebook. And as you can see, the post I showed with the beagle over here, he has there were 17 likes, I think. I hid the names of people for privacy, and there were responses. And that's the kind of thing you want. it doesn't have to be about the law. It can be whatever you want it to be about. I talk about the law too. I share my blog posts on Facebook. I share my law firm's blog posts both on its Facebook page, which is a business page, and on my own account, and I encourage communication. I get more communication, though, on my own personal account than I do on the business page. You do want to set up a business page for your firm, however, because business pages are searchable by Google and they therefore show up on Google, and you can get people to like them. There are a number of ways to do that. You can use sweepstakes as long as it's ethically appropriate in your state. Remember, accounts are for individuals and pages are firms. If you use the page, you're actually able to provide much more context. You can see over on the right, I have some apps listed. We have a click to chat on our Facebook, so somebody can actually click and be sent to a chat box and then be put in touch with us. I have information about the firm. I have videos. So you can do all of this and have it easily accessible on your page, so people can learn more about your firm if they happen to be looking for legal assistance on Facebook. And a lot of people do look for legal assistance and other businesses on Facebook. Twitter, that's 140 characters, which can be more difficult. Again, talk about whatever makes you comfortable. Share your blog posts and your website content. Be sure to retweet other people's content. Retweet just means sharing. Other people, you share for them, they share for you. It's a give and take, and it's important that you do that. LinkedIn, 100% of Fortune 500 companies are represented on LinkedIn. That's a pretty impressive statistic. So if you are looking to, if you're in the business world or you're looking to represent high-end individuals, LinkedIn is a great place for you. You can also seek referrals. You can get testimonials as long as it's ethically appropriate. Again, there are business pages and personal accounts. You want to be sure to set up both a business page for your firm where you can provide a lot of detail and information, and a personal account where you're branding yourself. Remember, you're dealing with two brands. You're dealing with you as an individual and your firm as a business. You need to have both branded on the web. Google Plus. Now, Google Plus was Google's answer to Facebook. It has not been particularly successful for that. I don't know how many times Google has tried to do social media. So it's not great for social media. But what it's great for is search engine optimization, because Google integrates the stuff you put on Google Plus with its search results. I have a blog post on Coumadin that I wrote for Lowenthal and Abrams, and I shared it on Google Plus, and it's on the first page of Google when you look up certain things, and that's great. You want to complete a Google Plus location page for each location. Just as with everything else, you have individual pages for firms and businesses, and you have accounts for individuals. Local search, which I haven't mentioned before, is a crucial part of your presence on the web. People search locally, so they'll search for in Philadelphia, or just by nature of the fact that they're in Philadelphia, Google will be giving them Philadelphia results. And so people want to know that you're local, and using the correct tags with your location, claiming your Google Places and Google Plus page are all part of local search. You want to make sure you have one for each location, and you want to encourage people to circle you. That's the term on Google, and you want to share your blog posts and other information utilizing the appropriate keywords and key phrases, just like everything else. You also will want to seek reviews from clients. Once you know a client is happy and the case is over, there is nothing wrong with saying, would you mind giving us a testimony or a review? You can ask for it on paper. You can use some kind of system where they can go online and do it. There are any number of ways to do it. Pinterest, what's interesting about Pinterest is it's 80% female. Instagram is the other big sharing picture site. It is harder to use picture sites for firms. What I do is, since I use a picture in every blog post, I often use that picture and put it on Pinterest. It's also great, though, for both Instagram and Pinterest to share activities you might do with your firm, your charity work, whether you're in a courthouse. Obviously, you're worried about the privacy of your clients. Share personal interests. Jeff Lowenthal at my firm has a beautiful garden, Japanese garden, and we have pictures of it that I need to put up here. And I think people will like that. And I find that people do share. One of my most shared posts involves using iPads for strokes and how it can help people recover. You want to make sure that you follow others and you share their posts. Again, share for them, they'll share for you. These are all ways to drive traffic back to your website and give people an opportunity to find you. YouTube is a fabulous way to attract attention because people love videos. You, through a video, can let people know about you and see you. Most of the time, people are afraid to hire a lawyer. They're very nervous and they don't know who to hire. If you have an engaging personality, you can have a nice bio, you can describe short things about the law, a minute or two, generally speaking, at the most, and you can embed them on your website, in your blog posts, on Facebook, wherever. And again, people can learn about you and see you as a human being. Social media is a fabulous way to get people to see you as a human being and then to want to hire you, because that's what all this is about. We're not writing blog posts and pages and doing videos for the fun of it. Well, sometimes we are. But for the most part, we're doing it because we need clients. And so you want to do things that are engaging and interesting and will get people to pick up the phone or send you an email. So you're sharing this content everywhere, but you need to share it appropriately. I use a tool called Hootsuite because it lets me share everything everywhere. It's hootsuite.com. But you have to make sure you're using it appropriately for the medium. Just sharing a blog post without any description of it on Facebook or Google Plus isn't going to be very helpful. On the other hand, on Twitter, you need to use hashtags, where, see, I used hashtag #SEO. And then you need to share, attract attention of people. So, for example, if I'm talking about Avvo, which is the lawyer answer site, I might put the @Avvo, because that would attract Avvo's attention, and maybe they'll respond, maybe they'll retweet. So it's all about sharing and encouraging people to respond and using each site appropriately. Reviews are very important. You'll get judged based on reviews. People judge us based on reviews, and it's one way they decide whether to hire you or not. You can ask your clients to write reviews, as I said, but do not offer anything in exchange. One technology provider told me, it's perfectly okay to give people a card to buy stuff, or a gift card, or a discount on stuff, or whatever. I said to them, no, it's not, and they argued with me. So you need to know the ethical rules. You can get reviews on Google+, Avvo, Yelp, Facebook, all over the place. Just don't be afraid to ask for them. If the people are happy, they'll give you a review. Ads, which I'm going to go through quickly, can be a very useful way to drive traffic. You obviously have to come up with a budget. The most successful is going to be Google. It's also one of the most expensive. There are ads on Facebook, Yahoo, LinkedIn. Sometimes other sites will allow you to do ads. You have Google AdWords, which are pay per click. You want to follow Google's best practices. You want to try different things. You want to use the keyword research we talked about. And you're going to adjust the ads because success goes down as time passes. Don't just create them and ignore them. Facebook also has pay per click. It's based on demographics. It also has sponsored posts. You write a specific post and you share it, and I find the numbers go through the roof. For $100, you can share a post that maybe 100 people would have seen with 10,000 people. It's worth the money. Behavioral marketing, that's the stuff that's following you around the web. You search for something, the next thing you know, you're seeing it on Facebook, you're seeing it all over the place. This is part of remarketing. Marketing is done in touches. The more times somebody sees something, the more likely they are to follow up with you. That's why remarketing is successful, and that's why behavioral marketing works. Very briefly, because I'm about out of time, when you hire a search engine optimization firm, I get a lot of requests because of my working at a law firm. People are constantly sending me requests. So you're going to hear a lot of promises. We can get you to page 1, whatever. Watch for the keywords. What are they telling you they're going to get you? Because a lot of the times the keywords are useful, or the keywords are very, very difficult, so it's going to be very expensive to get you to the front page. And is it really going to work? So you need to think about those things. How much is the firm going to charge you? It can easily cost $1,000 to $5,000 a month. What exactly are they going to do for you? Get it in writing. What length of time? Are they focused only on traffic, or are they focused on conversions? Get references, research the company on your own, and review the contract very closely. Make sure you look at their content. Do they write well? Are they doing anything inappropriate? Check the backlinks, and do they know ethics? Because they often don't. Watch for the black hat techniques. Those are the techniques that violates Google's terms of service, both in terms of what they do to your site and what they try to do to your competitors' sites. People are actually trying to harm other people by getting bad sites to link to them, causing Google to give them a manual penalty. So you need to watch out for that. And you have to watch out for ethics. Know the rules in your state, check your jurisdiction, make sure you have the disclaimers. Don't provide legal advice. You want to speak generally and educate. Watch unauthorized practice of law in other jurisdictions. Be sure you're using the appropriate phrases. You can look up the rules. They're normally 7.x, 8.x, depending on your jurisdiction. So, any questions now that I'm about out of time?
Thank you so much, Jennifer. That was a really fantastic presentation, and we've all learned a lot. I know many of you have to get going right now, so I just wanted to leave you with a few things. If you note at the bottom of the slide, as you all know, you can have a 3-month trial for free with MyCase, but after that there is, for a 30-day trial. And after that, there's a promo code at the bottom that gives you 10% off your first 6 months. So please note that code at the bottom. You'll also be getting a survey if you can take a minute to do that. And we are out of time, so we will be, there's a lot of excellent questions. We'll go ahead and note those, send those to Jennifer, and we'll put that on our blog and email that out to you as well. So thank you again. Thank you, Jennifer. That was wonderful, and thank you to all who attended.
Thank you, everyone, and I'll try to answer those questions this weekend.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.